Each year, our Holy Father has designated Mission Sunday on the fourth Sunday of October. We have the opportunity to speak about the activities of the church in the world and to help support God's work. It is good that we do so. It helps us to maintain solidarity with our brothers and our sisters as they continue the work that Jesus has begun. It was in this spirit that St. Paul, St. James, and the other apostles wrote their epistles and their gospels. St. Paul would write to not only encourage people to maintain the faith, but to let them know what he was doing in the other vineyards, as well as how the church was growing. People would pick up with enthusiasm with the apostles. They would pray for them and also support them in any way that they could. Supporting the missions was needed right from the beginning. Today, we have this opportunity to do the same. One of these opportunities comes to us through the Mission Cooperative. Through this program, once a year, we try to gather a number of missionaries from many different countries to share with us the accomplishments of their various countries. Another opportunity is through World Mission Sunday. We have this opportunity at this time of the year to tell the story of what is going on in the church. While we don't have a lot of time during this Mass, it is also important to remember that there are a number of magazines and periodicals that help tell our story. It is important for us to tell our story. When I was in South America one year attending a faith assembly of over 5,000 Christians, one of the bishops put it this way: it is important for us to tell our story because if we don't, others will tell our story about us, and they will do so in their own way. There are countries where Christians are not only rejected, but in fact persecuted and killed. There is one country where if a person becomes a convert to Catholicism and is discovered, he not is only put to death, but the person who assisted him in the conversion is also put to death. We can remember a few years back another incident where a group of ISIS took over a mall. The soldiers asked those that were there if they were Christians, and if they replied yes, they were shot on the spot. Historians tell us that more people were martyred since the year 2000 than were in the first 300 years of the early church. This is difficult to conceive, especially in our day and age. On the other hand, a couple of years ago, we heard of a new community of faith in Mongolia. There were about 20 people who had embraced the faith. One of the people who helped found the church where they worshiped was a recovered derelict. There are so many other wonderful stories that we can tell. In Kenya, there is now much upheaval, but at one time I was privileged to attend a youth rally there. Over 20,000 kids were present at the Mass. And by the way, the Mass lasts about 3 to 4 hours there. And these people were in the sun. At the offertory, Rather than collectors passing the basket, the people bring their items to the altar. Many things are brought up: paper towels, canned goods, diapers, food, anything you can think of. And one of these little girls came up. She was probably 5 or 6 years old. She could hardly reach the altar. She finally reached the altar and put a coin on the altar. And someone asked her, "What did you do that for?" And she answered, "This is for the poor." She herself was poor, but she was giving to the poor. I remember thinking about that in a passage of when Jesus was watching people bring up their offerings in the temple and seeing a poor woman place her coin in the temple treasury, and he said, "This woman gave more than the others because she gave all that she had, while others gave of their surplus." In mission territory, even the churches that receive support from other churches still take up a collection to give to the missions. When all is collected, His Holiness Pope Francis then allocates what is collected to the various missions of the world. They have a saying in Kenya: "There are none so poor that they cannot give, and there are none so rich that they cannot receive." No matter how rich or poor we are reminded that we are brothers and sisters, and what goes on with others matters to us. We ask you to please support our missionaries as best you can. Whatever you give to God and you give to His people. You can make donations by mail or by contacting the Office of the Propagation of the Faith at the address printed on your screen. You may also donate in your local parish church this weekend during the second collection. There is another saying I remember hearing: "Some people give by going to the missions, and some people go by giving." Either way, please keep our missionaries in your prayer. It is their strength and it is their support.